Hello everyone, Pally here, and welcome back to Path of Exile 2. Hope you guys are having a great day today, as always. In today's video, I'm going to show off what I've learned about the demon form Infernalist, the demon mommy. Every second of existence is agony. We are building up stacks of demon flame every moment we are in this form. But as a result of that, we are also scaling our damage into the stratosphere. It's actually a very fun setup, and a lot of what you're doing is just trying to figure out how you want to go about countering this decay that unfortunately is taking my character over right now and returning me to my regular witch form. I designed this character to be an essence drain contagion setup, very similar to our other witch in fact, but you don't have to play that way at all. Once you understand the basics of how to get high amounts of stacks, you can literally turn the demon form into just about any kind of spellcaster you would like. But it does have a great gameplay loop with Essence Drain Contagion, because when we enter a new zone, we're going to be very low on stacks. That also means our damage is relatively low as well. But with our added mobility from demon form, being able to just glide across every single environment almost effortlessly, we're able to group up these packs of enemies and allow the Essence Drain and Contagion to spread the dots to them very easily. And my gameplay just kind of becomes, hey, just shepherd these guys together, make them rub elbows, let them get to know each other, and then watch as the decay takes over. It's kind of very satisfying. And we don't even have to cast that much, too. We can just keep on moving around maps. What about fighting bosses, though? Well, if you reach them with a high amount of stacks, in this clip I got here at 200, everything continues to just kind of fall over. I made this guy frozen with one of our support skills. I have a double curse aura that's not only protecting me from damage, but also extending the duration of all of these debuffs we're putting on enemies. And most bosses just fall over from just spamming Hexblast. It's pretty smooth. There are some required uniques to get this up and running, and you're gonna need a lot of some very specific jewels, but don't you worry, throughout the course of today's video, I'm gonna get you guys up to speed on literally everything you need. All the gameplay you've seen so far was achieved with well under 1 divine of funding, and we just completely plowed through the game. As I leveled up, I was trying to figure out what my map limit was gonna be. We started on 1s and 2s and just blew right through them, and we kept that momentum up all the way up to tier 15 map. So if you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel for more Path of Exile 2 guides. Believe me, I'm not going anywhere. I'm still completely obsessed with this game. And let's start jumping into the meat of this video. We're going to look at my talent tree in just a moment, but before we do, I want to compare it to what a normal Essence Drain Contagion Witch might look like, because the difference can be pretty staggering. I'm using the character planner on maxroll.gg for this example, and this is what I would consider a typical Essence Drain Contagion mage setup. Of course, you may decide to go different places with your points, but we're focusing on getting chaos damage anywhere that it shows up. We're also focusing on increasing our defenses, with energy shield increases that can be speckled throughout the talent tree on this side. Maybe getting some increased mana recovery rate while still pathing to get more and more chaos damage. And of course, let's throw in a little crit. Why not? Hexblast can do a ton of damage. Maybe this is what a typical mage setup looks like, but ours is completely different. Because we use our demon form to scale our damage, that means that our passive tree can look like this, where we are just going for every single defensive node that we could find, while also branching out and gathering as many of these empty jewel sockets to increase our defenses even more. The damage comes from the character, not from the passive tree. Don't you worry, I'll be going over the passives in great detail in just a moment. I just need to make sure you guys are on the same page as me for some of these concepts. So, our damage comes from our character. We need to find a way of mitigating the damage coming in from Demon Flame. As you can see, if I'm high on health, that damage starts coming in fast. That's because Demon Flame deals a percentage of our character's health in damage every single second. I was only able to go up to about 20 stacks before reverting to my default form with basically nothing equipped. As far as I know, there are two different strategies for dealing with the damage from Demon Flame. One is to go very high health and rely on recoup. The way we are doing it is going very low health, and we are going to try to rely on HP regen to keep us going. The uniques we're using to make this happen are Ming's Heart Amethyst Ring. The main effect on these that we are very interested in is that 24% reduced maximum life. But this does have a chaos damage multiplier on this as well. If I go ahead and equip these rings, I go from just under 1,000 health down to 464. Not bad at all. We have another unique that we are using. This is the Ghostwraith Tattered Orb. You can get even more health being taken away from you if you get a corrupted version of this one like we have here. By default, the Ghostwraith takes 50% of your maximum life and converts it to energy shield. I believe the maximum on this is 61%, and if I can get my hands on a perfect one, you better believe I'm going to. If we equip that, that brings my HP down to 190. But this is only part of the puzzle. As you can see here, I'm at 14 stacks, and we are beginning to lose HP rapidly, even though we barely have any life at all. This is where regen comes into play, and we can get it everywhere. My helmet here has a big focus on just energy shield, resistances, and 20 life regen per second. Our belt, same thing, resistances, life regeneration per second. Our boots, guess what? Resistances and life regeneration per second. Take a good look at our amulet here. It has literally the exact spirit I need for our setup. It has 12 as a baseline baked into the item, and then another bonus of 50 spirit. Even with a very specific item that we needed, we were still able to get plenty of health regeneration on it and some more resistances. Unfortunately, gloves can't roll regen, and I hate them, but they can roll even more of those resistances. Now, I am not resistance capped. You may think that that's a problem, but with our current gear and our passive tree setup, I'm able to get up to 6,743 energy shield, which, to be totally honest with you, is not spectacular. We could easily be pushing 10k with this setup, and then our passive aura Grim Feast could double that to 20,000. This is actually quite a lot of tankiness. And all of these jewels that you're seeing here are rubies that are rolling increased life regeneration as well. I picked all of these up for just 5 exalts each. I also have increased spell effect duration, skill effect duration. For our setup, that means our Essence Drain and our Contagion is out there dealing damage longer. And each of these jewels simply goes into these empty sockets on our passive tree. Once we have all of these in here, we are going to have a ton of regen. The most expensive thing I've purchased for this build is the amulet, and I want to say it was around 35 exalts for this. A baseline Ghostwraith can be picked up for 5 exalts. The rings can be picked up for 5 exalts right now. I could have gotten better stats on my boots for some more movement speed, but that would just make it more expensive. Everything here was put together for well under a divine, and we are counting all of these jewels as well. Now, if I did want to get some more specific jewels for the build, it would still be life regeneration, it would still be skill effect duration, but I would also try to pick up as much area of effect increases on these rubies as I could. And I was doing some price checking. That means instead of spending 5 exalts per these, you're going to be spending anywhere between 30 and 50 per each jewel. That is quite a lot more expensive, but it will help out a lot too. Just in case you were wondering what my maximum stacks are with all of this together, let's do a little time lapse. I'll be right back, because it's going to take a minute.
On flesh.
Bro, I literally walked right back at the room, like, right as it faded. My timing is impeccable. Oh my god. All of that is with a grand total of 262 life regeneration per second. Let's go ahead and dive into the passive tree now, starting at the top of which my main focus was just picking up any energy shield node that we could find. Keep in mind, I did respec after leveling. I did not start as level 1 with this build. I leveled up as a normal Essence Drain Chaos setup, like I gave you an example of at the start of this video. And then when it was time to respec, when I had all of these jewels, we did a very big defensive focus. To the right of melding and insightfulness, I did pick up Ascendancy. Did I say that right? Stun threshold is based on 30% of your energy shield instead of life. This is a massive talent for us because we are so low on HP. Like, it feels like a single swing from an enemy can stun us sometimes. This is how we solve that problem. Then to the west of the Witch Start, we did make our way down here to grab full recovery, as well as these life regeneration nodes in front of where I believe Templar is going to start. From there, we went up north, grabbing these nodes. Heavy Buffer is huge for us because it lowers our max HP even more, but all of these energy shield nodes are great here in this circle. Grabbed the jewel slots on the way up to go up to this top line, and then wouldn't you know, Patient Barrier to the right, phenomenal energy shield setup for us, as well as Enhanced Barrier to the left for even more energy shield. The way we're able to have 2 curses up is with this passive, Whispers of Doom, and I'll go over exactly which 2 curses we are using here in just a moment when we take a look at the gems. Then we just kind of travel for even more jewel sockets, grabbing more to the east. Another very important cluster of talents down here, though. These, Icebreaker, gain 100% maximum energy shield as additional freeze threshold. Once again, because our health is so low, we were very susceptible to being frozen. And then across from that, Slippery Ice allows us to manage chill effects on us even easier as well. We are using Eternal Youth, so life recharges instead of our energy shield. Life recovery from flasks is applied to our energy shield. So we're actually able to refill our energy shield with our potions instead of that just kind of giving us a little bit of the red juice that we're, regenerating on our own anyway. Then on the left side of the tree, going for more jewel sockets, but of course making our way up to calibration for even more energy shield bonuses. I'm level 87 right now. Like, literally, this is my plan. Level 88, more energy shield. Level 89, more energy shield. Level 90, more energy shield. You could, of course, grab more base damage, and there is a more multiplier over here at Pure Chaos. But quite frankly, I personally don't feel like I need it. The only reason you would pick up more damage in your talent tree would be to help your character while they are low on stacks. It becomes irrelevant once you get a lot of stacks. Our Ascendancy is either going to be a little disappointing to you, or you're really going to like it because you don't have to do a lot of the Ascendancy trials. Basically, the first time I got Ascendancy points, those went directly to Demonic Possession, which of course is what gives us the demon form. My next set went over to the Loyal Hellhound, and we split a bit of our damage that we take with our loyal friend here. Unfortunately, the next 2 trials kind of feel gross. You'll notice I didn't go for any of these big nodes. I don't want this at all. If I went for the Master Darkness, it means I'm capping my Demon Flame at 10? That sounds like a complete disaster. Maybe if you didn't have any regen and you were just trying to use this for mobility, but that's not my case. So my 3rd Ascendancy went for extra spell damage and then increased mana. My 4th Ascendancy is probably just going to be increased critical hit chance and literally nothing else. Because I don't want more health. I don't want any of these things. It's kind of awkward. Let's go ahead and take a look at the gems my character is using. I only have one, make that 2, that is extended to the 4th slot. So once again, this is very cheap to get going. Our demon form is supported with Ingenuity, giving us improved cooldown recovery rate, as well as Second Wind. Supported skills have less cooldown recovery rate, but supported skills have twice as many cooldown uses. That's why I'm able to be in demon form and still have cooldowns of demon form ready to go for when our stacks get too high. We just cycle right back into the form and start building stacks again. Our Eternal Hound is supported with Meat Shield, as well as Elemental Army, making him a bit more tanky. I have Culling Strike, just in case we happen to get a boss low, he can go in and just swing 1 time to finish off that boss. And then Last Grasp. He's going to die all the time. He's pretty useless, but when he does die, he's going to be with me at least 4 seconds longer. From there, we have Contagion, which I have supported with Unleash, so it targets multiple enemies as we throw it out. Chaotic Freeze, this is how we were able to freeze bosses and elites in our earlier example, and this can spread to all enemies as well. Magnified Effect to help the spread, and again, if I was going to take my jewels to the next level, I would get even more area of effect just to help out Contagion. And then lastly, but not least, Intense Agony. Our Essence Drain is set up with Chain. Chain lowers the projectile damage, but not the damage over time of Essence Drain. We then have Controlled Destruction, as well as Swift Affliction. Now remember, as our Contagion spreads, it's going to spread any damage over time effects that are on top of it. So Essence Drain is going to be moving around to all of our enemies. And then we can also drop the Dark Effigy, which we have supported with Ancestral Urgencies, just so we can put it down on the ground a bit faster. Then Envenom means we can spread its poison. The Persistence increases its duration. That also goes in line with our skill effect duration gems. So when we put down a totem, it lasts for quite a long time. And then I did throw in Chaos Mastery here, so all of my Chaos spells are one level higher. One of the benefits of being in Demon form is not only do we get increases to our damage with each stack, we also get spell level increases as well. So this helps Demon form out a little bit. You could put Overabundance in this if you wanted to have 2 of your totems down instead of just 1. And you may be wondering why we don't have anything enhancing the wither of the totems. That's because with quality, there's a 50% chance with every shot, I don't know why that's flickering, that the totem applies wither on its own. So we don't actually need to support that. One of our main ways of dealing damage to large enemies, usually bosses or very tanky elites, is with Hexblast. This will only work if a target is cursed. We manage that just fine. I'll show you how in just a moment. But to support Hexblast, we do have Concentrated Effect, as well as Considered Casting and Arcane Tempo. That leaves us with just our aura abilities, which we have almost exactly enough spirit for. We are 2 spirit over, so you're going to need 160 for this setup. First, we have Grim Feast, supported by Clarity. Grim Feast, whenever enemies die, it leaves a little wisp down on the ground, and if we walk over it, it increases our energy shield. And it can go over our maximum, which is why I was saying, if you have 10,000 energy shield, you could have 20,000 with this setup. Our 6,700 right now would cap out a little over 13,000. That's quite a lot of energy shield. And lastly, we have Blasphemy set up on our character. This is allowing our curses to just be automatically on all of the time, so we don't have to pre-cast something in between each of our Hex Blasts. The 2 curses I'm using is Temporal Chains. This is going to slow down any enemy that comes close to me, and it's going to make our damage over time effects last longer on any targets that are close to me. We then coupled this with Enfeeble, which reduces the damage enemies can deal to me, making that 13,000 cap of our energy shield last even longer. To support these 2, I did go with Ritualistic Curse to increase the area of effect. And don't you know, if we had even more area of effect on our jewels, this would be even better. The only map modifier that has been scary for this character to run is one that reduces the amount of life recovery, life regen you can get. Other than that, everything has been an absolute breeze, even without my resistances being capped. But that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you all so much for joining me. If you did like the content, make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new around here. And I have good news. I finally figured out what I'm going to do with my monk. So expect a monk showcase to show up on your feed sometime soon. Thank you all so much for being here. I'll see you all again next time.